Revealed, Soldier's incredible journey of forgiveness after 24 hours of shock, and HEARTBREAK, Jake Thompson stepped off the bus, his heart pounding like a military drum. After 4 grueling years in the Army, he was back home in Maplewood, a small Midwestern town that felt like a ghost of its former self. The familiar sounds of laughter, chatter, and friendly greetings were muted, replaced by the eerie silence of a community in distress. Family, warmth, and the simple beauty of home had called him back, but what awaited him was something altogether different. His younger brother, Adam, had once embraced every challenge as a small business owner, illuminating the town with hope and ambition. But now, Adam was on the brink of financial ruin, crushed under the weight of a ruthless corporate giant that had invaded their home turf, dismantling local businesses one by one. Jake felt a tightness in his chest as he realized that the place he longed for had been shattered, splintering the strong bond they once shared. "It's good to see you, Jake," Adam said, trying to be cheerful but failing to mask the hurt behind his eyes. The brothers sat down for dinner, the atmosphere heavy with unspoken words. As they passed around the food, a spark ignited the tension. "If you think hard work is all it takes, then you don't understand how the world has changed," Adam snapped, resentment bubbling over. Jake's jaw clenched. "You think I don't know about hard work? I've fought for this country, Adam. I've sacrificed everything." The accusation hung in the air like a thunderstorm ready to break. And just like that, it turned explosive. They hurled accusations like grenades, each word a missile aimed straight at old wounds. Adam felt neglected, abandoned. "You went off to fight your battles while I stayed here, struggling. You left me." The tables rattled with the force of their argument, and in a moment of blind rage, Jake threw his glass, shards flew, and one found Adam's hand. The world went silent. Adam stared at the blood pooling on the table, while panic flooded Jake's veins. The spirit of their family shattered even further that night, taking all the warmth with it. Friends and family scattered like leaves in a storm, leaving the brothers alone, steeped in regret. Over the next few sleepless nights, Jake wrestled with his past, haunted by ghosts of his own making. He sought solace in late-night conversations with fellow veterans who encouraged him to embrace vulnerability, to face his fears. He began to realize that there was more to Adam's story than he'd ever been privy to, secrets hiding beneath the surface, like dangerous tides waiting to unveil themselves. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As community tensions mounted, betrayal struck from a familiar face, forcing Jake to confront the remnants of his brother's struggles head-on. With the spirit of their family legacy weighing down on him, Jake decided to act. He gathered courage and made plans for a fundraiser to help save Adam's business, determined to unite his fractured community. With each new day, the chasm between him and Adam loomed larger, yet the brothers were both desperate for healing, caught in a cycle of misunderstandings. As the event drew near, the burden of their pasts loomed like a dark cloud. Would they find a way to stitch together their fractured relationship before it was too late, or would resentment forever color their ties? The future of their family and their town hung in the balance. Jake looked out the window, watching shadows stretch across the old Maplewood streets. The fundraiser was just days away, and with every passing moment, he felt the weight of his brother's pain deepening inside him. He could see Adam slowly retreat, pulling further away from the brother he once idolized. He remembered their childhood, days filled with wild laughter and secret adventures, and how this rift threatened to bury all the good that once was. He pulled out his phone, scrolling through familiar faces that had stood side by side with him through battles overseas. They were his support, his brothers in arms. Each name stirred something within him, filling him with a sense of urgency. He sent out a few quick messages, rallying them for the fundraiser, asking for help in every way they could lend it. He could already envision the community, old friends, and veterans standing together for something bigger than themselves. That night, the air was thick with anticipation. Jake stood before a mirror, dressed in an old navy blue blazer one he hadn't worn in years. He stared at his reflection, a mix of pride and fear swirling inside his chest. A knock on the door pulled him back to reality. It was his mother, her eyes glistening like morning dew. "I've been hearing murmurs about the fundraiser. You're really going through with it?" she asked softly, like she was afraid to break the moment. Jake nodded, his heart racing. "I have to do something for Adam. He.s. drowning, Mom." She took a deep breath, stepping further into the room. "You both need to talk, to figure this out. It's not just about money." Her words struck him hard. He knew she was right, but every time he thought about facing Adam, guilt twisted in his stomach. They had a lot to unravel, layers built up over years of pain and silence. Maybe after the fundraiser. He hoped it would buy him the time he needed to work up the courage. But his mother placed a firm hand on his shoulder, her eyes piercing through his defenses. "Remember, forgiveness isn't just about moving forward. It's about facing your past as well." Jake felt a rush of gratitude for her support, but the emotional wave also terrified him. How could he possibly look Adam in the eye and explain everything he had ignored? As he surrounded himself with plans for the fundraiser, calls from old friends, and an air of hopeful energy, the day of the event finally arrived. Jake stood by the entrance of the community center, anticipation swirling as he watched old faces arrive, filled with memories he had missed. He spotted Adam across the room, standing with his arms crossed, a tense expression masking any pride he should have felt. "Let us do this," Jake whispered to himself, but doubt seeped through his resolve. The warmth of the crowd filled him with hope, yet seeing Adam stood still, it was as if the gulf between them stretched even wider. Everyone gathered around, the air electric with both excitement and a hint of trepidation. Jake cleared his throat, and as he stepped up to the microphone, his heart thumped hard against his chest, ready to break through the silence. "Thank you all for coming out tonight." But just as he began to share his vision, a loud crash echoed from the back of the room, shattering the moment and drawing everyone's attention. Jake's stomach sank as he turned to see a commotion. He knew, in that instant, that not all was well. Would this be yet another obstacle, tearing apart their fragile bond, or an unexpected chance at redemption? The commotion at the back of the community center escalated into chaos. A group of people murmured loudly, eyes darting toward the disarray. Jake's heart raced as he tried to assess the situation. His brother Adam's expression darkened further. The room buzzed with voices, speculation swirling like autumn leaves caught in a whirlwind. Jake stepped down from the small stage, instincts kicking in. He moved toward the crowd, his gaze locked on the source of the noise. As he neared, he could see a table had tipped, sending stacks of donation envelopes scattering like fallen leaves. Jake's resolve stiffened as he lunged forward to help. "Everyone, give them some space," Jake called out, trying to calm the frantic energy. It was a jarring reminder of how quickly things could go awry. He bent down, gathering the envelopes, heart sinking with everyone he picked up. Each one represented hope, funds destined for his brother, for healing, for a chance to mend their past. Amidst the noise, he caught Adam's eye. The tension radiating from him was palpable. But there, behind Adam's crossed arms and furrowed brow, Jake saw something vulnerable, a flicker of worry, an echo of longing. It pulled at Jake's heart, begging for connection. "Can you help me?" Jake urged, glancing at Adam. There was a moment, a heartbeat where time seemed to hold. Adam hesitated, vulnerability battling with pride, but then nodded and stepped forward, his expression softening as he knelt beside Jake. Together, they began to reassemble the scattered envelopes. The crowd watched, whispers fading, but Jake felt as if they were still alone in a crowded room for just a moment. "You didn't have to come tonight," Jake said quietly, breaking through the tension. "I'm glad you did." Adam's voice was low, almost a whisper. "I didn't want to." I thought he paused, collecting his thoughts. "I thought it would just hurt too much." The honesty echoed between them. Jake's breath hitched, feeling an opening, a crack in the walls they had built around themselves. "It does hurt, Adam, but avoiding it won't help. I'm sorry for everything, for not being there when you needed me most." As they worked through the mess, Adam finally looked Jake square in the eye. "Do you think this can fix us? I don't know how to let go of what you did, what happened." The uncertainty hung in the air. Jake felt the weight of those words settle over him like a heavy blanket. Maybe this is the first step, he suggested, a mixture of hope and fear laced in his tone. Maybe it's all we need to start. They gathered the last of the envelopes, standing side by side now as the crowd resumed their chatter. The immediate crisis passed, but the true work still ahead. A sense of unity began to fill the space, as if they were beginning to heal, even if only a little. Just then, a voice broke through the chatter. "Hey everyone, we have a special guest who wants to speak." The attention shifted once again, this time toward the back of the room, where a familiar face stepped forward, a soldier clad in full uniform. Jake's heart raced anew at the sight, the unexpected guest stirring something deep within him. As the soldier approached the microphone, Jake felt Adam inch slightly closer, tension easing just enough that he could sense the shift. The soldier began to share a story of bravery and resilience, and with every word, Jake felt the weight of their own struggles lifting, if only for a moment. Tonight isn't just about fundraising, it's about community, family, and forgiveness, the soldier said, his voice resonating with sincerity. Jake exchanged a glance with Adam, understanding blooming in the space between them. But despite the hopeful atmosphere, a nagging question lingered in Jake's mind. Could this night truly begin to heal the wounds between them, or was it merely a bandage over deeper scars? The soldier's story shifted to a powerful moment of self-reflection, echoing the journey Jake had begun with Adam. What would they discover in each other's truths? And could they ever find the strength to face the past together? As Jake stood there, resolved to find the answers, he couldn't help but feel that the real battle was just beginning. The soldier's words filled the room, intertwining a message of resilience with a sense of hope that wrapped around Jake and Adam like a soothing blanket. Jake was fully present now, heart racing as he let himself hang on every detail. Each moment of bravery carved out a path for him, and Adam a path toward the uncharted territory of their own fragile relationship. As the soldier continued, Jake noticed Adam's expression shift. The tension in his shoulders began to ebb, replaced by something softer, almost curious. Jake's heart soared at the sight. Perhaps there was a thawing happening, a willingness to peek through the walls they had both put up. The soldier recounted a harrowing experience from his tour, a time when he had to make peace with the horrors he faced. "Forgiveness is not just about moving on," he said, his voice steady but thick with emotion. "It's the acknowledgement that we all make mistakes, and it's how we grow from them that defines us." The crowd hung on his every word, lost in a collective moment of reflection. Jake felt a spark igniting inside him. He looked at Adam, a silent question passing between them. Could they also acknowledge their mistakes? Could they forgive? Slowly, the soldier's story wove into a tale about family bonds, how they can fray, but never truly break, if nurtured. It was a familiar message that echoed in Jake's mind. Memories of childhood days spent together flooded back, times when they laughed until they cried. "Family is hard," the soldier said, "but it's worth fighting for." As the story unfurled, Jake's resolve strengthened. He wanted to fight for his family, for Adam. What had felt like an insurmountable chasm just moments ago now seemed like a challenge he was ready to face. The soldier concluded with a powerful message about the value of vulnerability. Be honest with yourself and with those you love. You might just find a new path to healing. He smiled at the audience, and the room erupted in applause, but Jake was lost in thought, the soldier's final words reverberating in his chest. Adam broke the silence first, his voice quieter than usual. "You really think we can come back from this?" There was a tremor in his tone, one that twisted Jake's heart. "Yeah," Jake replied, the weight of hope in his voice. "I think we can." Adam's eyes softened, and for a moment, Jake saw the brother he used to know, the one who had been buried under heavy layers of hurt. But just as quickly, a flicker of doubt crossed Adam's face. What if we can't? What if it's too late? Jake's breath hitched at the deepening uncertainty. He reached out, placing a hand on Adam's shoulder. "It's not too late. It doesn't have to be." As they stood there, the warmth of the community pulsing around them, Jake felt the enormity of their task. They were standing at the edge of a precipice, and beyond it lay the possibility of healing. But the questions loomed, darker and heavier. What would it take to bridge the past? What truths lay buried that needed to be unearthed? Suddenly, the soldier turned back, catching Jake's gaze, nodding as if he could sense their internal struggle. Remember, the hardest battles are often fought within ourselves. Jake nodded back, his heart racing again, not from fear this time, but from a burgeoning resolve. He and Adam had a journey to embark on, a battle to fight. The real question now was where to start. With Adam beside him, he stepped forward. Let us talk. Really talk. As they moved away from the crowd, Jake felt a mix of trepidation and excitement. They were heading into unknown territory. Would it bring them closer, or would it shatter what little they had left? The uncertainty loomed, but one thing was clear. It was time for the past to reveal itself. Would they find the courage to confront their truths, or would it prove too daunting for their fragile bond? The air felt thick as Jake and Adam stepped away from the crowd, leaving behind the warmth of shared stories and the soldier's powerful words. The dim light in the hallway cast long shadows, each step feeling heavier. Jake could sense Adam's hesitation as they walked, his brother's silence loud with unspoken thoughts. They found a small nook near the exit, secluded from the buzz of conversation. Jake took a deep breath, his heart pounding with a mix of fear and hope. "So where do we start?" he asked, searching for the right words, the right entry point. Adam clenched his fists, his gaze drifting to the ground. "I guess we start with the things we've never said. The things we've avoided for too long," he murmured, his voice trembling slightly. Jake's stomach twisted. This was at the moment they had both been avoiding for years. The chance to peel back the layers of hurt, but also the risk of reopening old wounds. "Okay," Jake said, trying to keep his voice steady. "But let us promise to be honest. No more hiding." Adam looked up, vulnerability shining in his eyes. I think I've been scared of you. Scared of what you'd think of me." There it was, the truth that had been buried under years of frustration and misunderstandings. Jake felt the weight of Adam's confession settle between them. "I didn't even know that," Jake admitted, his throat tight. "I never wanted to make you feel that way. I thought I was the one who was, I don't know, pathetic. Always trying to keep up." Adam shook his head, anger flickering in his expression. "You didn't understand. I was always in your shadow. You were the strong one, always the favorite. I just wanted to be you." A sharp pang of regret surged through Jake. He hadn't realized the pressure Adam felt, the struggles he faced while he was busy trying to prove his own worth. "I never meant to put that on you," Jake admitted, his voice thick with emotion. "I thought you had it all together because you never asked for help. I didn't see the pain." Silence enveloped them, a mixture of relief and sorrow filling the space. The walls they had constructed were crumbling, revealing raw, tender scars they each carried. "Why didn't we talk about this before?" Adam whispered, his eyes glistening. Jake took a step closer. "I guess I was afraid, too. I thought if I pushed too hard, I'd lose you completely. I didn't want to hurt you, so I stayed quiet." Adam's expression softened. "But we're both still standing here. Isn't that something?" There was a flicker of hope in his voice, a glimmer of the brotherhood they once shared. "Yeah," Jake breathed, a smile breaking through the tension. "Maybe it's enough to start over. We can't erase what has happened," Adam said slowly. "But we can try to move forward. Together." Suddenly, a rush of gratitude washed over Jake. They might have scars, but they weren't alone in their fight. Here, in this small space, they were beginning to build a bridge to healing. But then Adam glanced away, frowning. "What about Mom and Dad? Can we really fix this, or is it too late?" Jake's heart sank at the mention of their parents. They had been the source of so much pain, the broken ties that had twisted their lives into chaos. "We can't fix everything at once," he murmured, "but maybe we can talk to them eventually. Like we're doing now." As hope mingled with uncertainty, they stood on the edge of something new. But deep down, Jake knew they were still just beginning to scratch the surface of their pain. What if their parents couldn't understand like they had? And so, the question lingered in the air. Could they really mend what felt so irreparably broken? Would they have the courage to face the hardest truths waiting for them? Jake shifted his weight, feeling the uneven floor beneath his shoes. The anxiety between them buzzed like a live wire. "You know, we can't keep pretending everything is fine," he said softly, trying to breathe through the tightness in his chest. "It's only going to get harder." Adam swallowed hard, nodding. "You're right. I guess I just thought if we didn't talk about it, maybe it would go away." The defeat in his voice tugged at Jake's heart. "Look, I get it. We've been dancing around this for years." Jake paused, searching for the right words. "But if we want to heal, we have to confront it. The past. Adam sighed, running a hand through his hair. What if they don't want to hear it? What if they shut us down? What if we finally open this box, and all we find is more anger? Jake felt a familiar knot forming in his stomach. The thought of facing their parents and opening old wounds that had never healed made his palms sweat. Then we fight through it. Together. We owe each other at least that much. A flicker of determination sparked in Adam's eyes. Together, he repeated, the word building a shaky foundation between them. No one said healing would be easy, Jake said with a slight smile, edging forward in their conversation. But I think it starts with us right here. Are we really ready for this? Adam asked, uncertainty lacing his voice. Jake took a breath. We owe it to ourselves. We can't keep living like this. As he spoke the words, a part of him felt lighter, if only a little. Adam shifted his gaze, looking back toward the crowd. What if we face it, and it's worse than we thought? Jake shook his head, steadfast. Then we face it. No matter what, we have to be brave. For us. For them. Another pause settled over them. But this time it felt less daunting, more like the calm before a storm than an impending eruption. Adam nodded slowly, his resolve building. Okay, let us do it. Together. Feeling a rush of warmth between them, Jake reached out and squeezed Adam's shoulder. I won't let you go through this alone. Promise. Just then, the sound of laughter bubbled up from the main room, breaking the heavy atmosphere. It was their family, their past, still floating just outside their little haven. Think they'll understand? Adam mused, a hint of disbelief coloring his words. The laughter outside felt like a world away, separate from the tension they carried for so long. I don't know, Jake admitted. But we'll never know if we don't try. They lingered in silence, their hearts racing, each slowly inching toward a future written with honesty. Together, they stood with a shared anxiety, looking through the doorway to the family they once knew. What if they start shouting? What if? Adam's voice trailed off, the worry creeping back into his eyes. Jake felt a swell of reassurance inside him. Then we stand our ground. It's our turn to be heard. We've been silent long enough. With one last shared glance, they stepped out of the nook, their determination palpable. They rounded the corner, ready to confront the past, and the laughter greeted them like a warm blanket. But underneath it all, a tension lingered, electricity in the air. As they approached, Jake realized that this wasn't just about words, it was about the uncharted territory that lay ahead. Would they truly find a way to bridge the gaps, or were they walking into another storm? The door felt heavy as they approached, the sounds growing louder. Just before they crossed the threshold, Jake paused, a flutter of doubt creeping in. What if they don't want to listen? He whispered, looking at Adam, anxiety flashing in his eyes. There's only one way to find out, Adam replied. With a nod, Jake braced himself, knowing this moment could change everything. As the door swung open, they stepped into the light of a family dinner, an ordinary scene, but everything felt poised for transformation. The moment of truth had arrived. Would they be met with understanding or more heartbreak? The room was filled with a blend of bright chatter and the enticing aroma of home-cooked food. As Jake and Adam entered, the lively atmosphere felt both welcoming and suffocating, laughter echoing off the walls, mingling with the clinking of dinnerware. Their family, the faces they had known all their lives, seemed blissfully unaware of the impending storm. Hey, you guys made it. Their mother, a vision in her favorite apron, turned and flashed a smile that seemed to brighten the room. Come join us. We saved you a spot. Instinctively, Jake plastered on a smile, but it felt heavy, a mask that barely concealed the tension bubbling within. Adam shrugged a little, his expression mirroring Jake's hesitation, but they stepped forward. As they settled at the table, Jake could feel the warmth of family surrounding them, yet a chill gripped him. His father's hearty laugh cut through the air, but all Jake could think was how to shatter this fragile moment. He ached for honesty, yet feared the fallout. Everything smells amazing, Mom, Adam said, forcing enthusiasm into his voice. Your favorite, of course. I made enough for an army, she beamed. The conversations flowed around them, and it felt surreal to be in this familiar space while feeling like an outsider. The asking eyes of their siblings roamed from laughter to food, unaware of the weight pressing on Jake and Adam. Yet all around him, life went on as if nothing had changed, oblivious to the shadows that loomed over them. Where do we even start? Jake thought. barely listening as his siblings recounted stories from their days. In a moment of forced calm, Jake glanced at Adam, who was nervously picking at his food. Their eyes met, an unspoken understanding passing between them. They both knew it was time to break the silence. Can I say something?" Jake's voice rang out, drawing curious looks. His heart raced, each beat amplified by the anticipation in the air. "There's something we need to talk about." The laughter faded, and the glow of cheerful chatter dimmed slightly. His mother's south face froze in place, a tight smile still evident but brittle, about to crack under pressure. "What's on your mind, sweetheart?" she said cautiously, concern flickering in her eyes. Jake exchanged a glance with Adam, who nodded slightly encouragingly, but also with a sense of fear. "We feel like there are things we've never really talked about, feelings we've kept bottled up." The words flowed out, almost like a river breaking its bank. "Things from our past that have hurt us, things we're still struggling with." His father shifted uncomfortably, and an uneasy silence hung in the air. "What do you mean?" he asked, the unease seeping into his tone. "It's about us. About how we've dealt with our family, our losses, the things we never addressed as a family," Jake continued, adrenaline pushing him. "And how these issues affect our relationships with each other. You," and he hesitated, "with ourselves." Tension coiled tighter around them, the air thick and surreal, as though the room itself was holding its breath. Their mother exchanged quick glances with their father, her eyes wide with worry. "Please, just listen," Adam said, his voice shaky but determined. "This isn't easy for us, but it's something we have to face." Jake felt sweat pooling in his palms. The laughter had faded, but the moment shone brighter than he anticipated. A surge of emotion blossomed deep within him, fear mixed with hope. Would they find the understanding they so desperately craved, or were they stepping into the fire? Then came a voice from the end of the table, clear and cutting through the tension. "Do you really think we want to hear this?" The words hung heavily in the air. A family dinner had suddenly transformed into a battleground of emotions. Jake's heart raced, and he looked toward Adam. They had stepped too far to turn back now, but could they face the walls they were about to hit? As silence swallowed the room, Adam's expression hardened, courage igniting in his eyes. "Yes, we do, and so should you." With that declaration, they plunged into deeper waters, setting the stage for a confrontation that had been years in the making. The air was charged, their family dynamics shifting and tantalizingly close to a breaking point. What would surface when the truths that had been hidden finally came into light? Jake could almost feel the weight of every gaze around the table, like a thick fog settling in. The potency of that single question lingered, a spark igniting a fire. His mother's smile faltered for just a heartbeat, and he could see her struggling to hold back an emotional tide. The room that had once felt vibrant and safe now felt like a cage. The walls seemed to press in closer, heavier with unspoken truths. "Why now?" Jake's older brother, Mike, finally broke the silence. His voice trembled with a mix of disbelief and frustration. "Why bring this up here at dinner?" Adam locked eyes with Jake and then directed his focus back to Mike. "Because it's never going to be easier than this. Pretending things are fine, it doesn't work. It hasn't worked for us." His tone was steady now, like a ship finding its course through a storm. "What are you talking about?" Mike retorted, voice rising. "We're all fine. We've moved on, haven't we?" Deep down, Jake could feel the knot tighten inside him. How could they not see? The denial painted across his brother's eyes felt like a slap. He leaned forward, knitting his brows together. "We're standing in the wreckage of everything that happened. Just because we sit around this table doesn't mean we ignore what we went through. Our losses," their mother interrupted, her voice growing more strained. "What losses, Jake? What are you trying to say?" Her tone was sharp, a mix of fear and desperation, clawing at the thread of peace she had woven for so long. Jake glanced toward Adam, who was gripping the edge of the table as if it was the only thing keeping him grounded. The dim light overhead flickered, casting a blend of shadows and light across their faces. "It's about Dad and how we never really talked about everything after the accident," he said quietly. The revelation fell like a stone in the still waters. Their father's quiet demeanor, previously unnoticed, now captivated everyone. He shifted uncomfortably, his own eyes darting to each face around the table. "I thought we had dealt with that," he muttered. "Dealt with it?" Adam scoffed, his anger brewing beneath a surface of hurt. You never even mentioned how you felt. We lost someone, one of us, and you all just moved on. Each word erupted like dry kindling catching fire, the flames climbing higher. Their mother's expression softened. We were all hurting, just trying to survive, she replied, her voice breaking. Grief doesn't come with a manual. We didn't want to burden you. But it hurt us. Not talking about it. Jake struggled to keep his voice steady. That's what hurt us the most. The air crackled as the weight of the statement hung between them. The laughter had disappeared completely, leaving only the sound of heavy breathing and forks scraping against plates. Jake studied the expressions of his family, each one reflecting years of bottled pain and unaddressed sorrow. Maybe we need to start fresh, Jake whispered, his own heart pounding against his chest. We're still here. We can do this together. He hoped that the words might build a bridge out of the silence that had enveloped them all. The shared grief felt so tangible, almost like a thread binding them together in a way they had forgotten. His father finally spoke, or rather choked out. If we talk about it, we'll have to feel it all over again. I don't sometimes feelings need to be felt, Dad, Adam pressed. To heal, we have to dig it up. We can't bury it anymore. A soft sob broke from their mother, and the tears started to flow like a cleansing river. It wasn't just her pain. It was their pain, spilling forth for the first time in ages. Family ties threatened to snap under the pressure, but instead, they drew tighter, wrapping around one another like a warm embrace. As they all sat in this newly exposed vulnerability, each breath taken was filled with the hope for change. The journey forward felt uncertain and wobbly, but the willingness to confront it felt like taking the first steps out of a dark cave into the sunlight. Then came Mike's cold, cutting voice, still laced with disbelief. So what now? We just spend dinner crying? Maybe we could start with honesty, Adam replied softly, steadfast determination building in his voice. Maybe that's where we start rebuilding. And as they ventured deeper into their collective grief, Jake felt a flicker of hope, a small but unyielding glimmer. Could facing their wounds truly be the answer? Yet, as the tension rippled through the air again, each unspoken word seemed to weigh heavily like lead, and they sensed the next challenge lurking just out of sight. What devastating truths were still hidden in the shadows? The silence that followed Mike's biting words felt like a live wire, crackling with unresolved tension. Jake glanced around the table, his heart racing, searching for a sign of understanding. Their mother wiped her tears away, but her expression remained a mix of grief and worry. Adam, still firmly holding onto the table, seemed alpha and vulnerable all at once. Is it crying we're doing, or are we finally going to talk? Mike's voice was sharper now. You're not just going to air all this out and expect us to pretend it's fine. He crossed his arms defiantly, challenging the fragile state of the evening. Mike, their father began, but the word barely emerged, a whisper caught in his throat. We don't have to pretend anymore, do we? Jake interjected, desperation creeping into his voice. It's okay to feel lost. It's okay to feel hurt. Right then, he could sense the walls shifting, a tremor of potential breakthroughs dancing on the edge of the air. Okay to feel hurt. Mike scoffed. What does that mean? It's a little late for feelings now, isn't it? Feelings don't have a deadline. Adam snapped back, glaring at his brother. We lost Dad even before the accident, and since then, we've lost each other. You act like none of it matters. The table rocked with the intensity of their confrontation. Jake took a deep breath, gathering his courage. It does matter. It's not about the past anymore. It's about who we are, who we can still be. His words hung in the air like a lifeline. For a moment, hope flickered in his mother's eyes, but Mike still appeared unforgiving, his brows knitted tightly. Jake felt a sinking pit form in his stomach. Would this be another round of conflict? Another deflected chance at moving forward? Are you saying we should just let everything go? Mike challenged, his voice raw. Let the past rain down on us like it was just a summer storm, and no. Jake's voice broke into a shout. It was a desperate plea shielded by determination. Let us face it. Let us confront it together. He leaned in, his heart now pounding for different reasons. What we've lived through shouldn't be swept under the rug. We're free to speak about it. And if we start talking, we can start healing. His father lifted his head, eyes shimmering with unshed emotion. Is that what you really believe, Jake? Yeah, I do. Their mother's gaze softened. We never wanted to hurt you. It was the opposite, we wanted to protect you. What happens if we talk and it gets worse? Mike asked. His voice was calmer now, curious rather than confrontational. Then we deal with it, Adam replied firmly. Because if we keep hiding behind these perfect family dinners, we'll lose the chance to be real with each other. We'll stay stuck. At that moment, Jake felt a crack beginning to open in the tightly wound fabric of their family's dynamic. It's just like Dad taught us, every wound can heal if it's given a chance. We can't be afraid to open them up. As the silence draped itself over the table once again, Jake could almost hear the wheels turning in his family's minds. The blend of fear, nostalgia, and a glimmer of hope swirled in the air. Look, Adam finally said, breaking the quiet stillness. If we dig deep tonight, it might hurt, but we'll have a chance to build something better. Even if it feels like our world is crashing down, we can lean on each other. Jake nodded. Let us take the leap. Together. The weight of those words resonated in the space between them. Jake dared to hope. Maybe they could find a path through the hurt, navigate the raw terrain of their emotions, and truly connect again. But as certainty clashed with trepidation, the door creaked open, a familiar voice ringing out from the hallway. What is all the yelling about? It was Grandma, her figure a comforting presence in the doorway. And just like that, the air thickened once more. What truths would they now have to face in front of her? And would those revelations push them forward or send them back into silence? Grandma stepped into the room, her wiry frame a bundle of warmth and familiarity. For a moment, her presence felt like a bomb stabilizing the heightened atmosphere. I heard yelling. I thought we were having a nice family dinner, she said, eyes twinkling with concern. Jake's gut tightened. He wanted to break the news in front of her, but the pile of emotions resting heavy on his heart couldn't stay hidden any longer. Grandma, he began, voice wavering slightly, we're trying to talk about some things we've never really faced. Important things. Important things? Grandma's expression shifted. Something between worry and understanding flickered across her face. If it's important enough for you to raise your voice, then perhaps we should listen. Jake's heart pounded. This was it. It's about Dad, about everything we've lost and never addressed after the accident. He continued, feeling layers of pressure cracking open as he spoke. Your father? Grandma's brows knitted together in concern. What has happened? Adam swallowed hard, stepping in with gritty courage. We've been carrying a lot of pain, Grandma. And if we don't begin addressing it, we might lose each other too. A heavy silence settled, Grandma's wise eyes searching their faces, seeking clarity. It was then that Jake finally felt a ripple of openness, like the first gust of spring air timidly warming the ground after a long winter. Maybe it's time we shared our truths, she suggested gently, even the painful ones. The idea sparked a warmth inside Jake he hadn't felt in a long time. It seemed to light a fire in Adam too. The brothers exchanged a glance, the silent understanding pulling taut like a finely threaded bowstring. Okay, I'll go first, Jake said, steeling himself. When we lost Dad, I thought that if I just kept moving forward, then I could eventually ignore the hurt. I never realized how much it hurt both of us, how much it shattered our family. Each word felt like a stone thrown into a still pond, rippling across the surface to touch all those nestled in its depths. I thought you were strong, Mike voiced. Strong enough to not care about what we lost. I was pretending, Adam cut in. I thought if I could just keep everything together, if I kept up an act, maybe it wouldn't hurt so much. Their mother's eyes glistened with tears, but this time there was no urge to wipe them away. Surrounded by the love that remained, the emotion flowed freely, unbinding years of tension. Jake, Adam, I'm sorry too, Grandma replied, her voice trembling. We lost so much, but not just Dad. We lost our way together. I should have been more open with you about how hard it was for me too. I should have invited you to share your feelings. The burden felt lighter, almost exhilarating. What if we keep sharing? Adam proposed, heart racing. What if we make it a promise to talk honestly, really talk, moving forward? Like a challenge? Jake added, a grin breaking through, and he nudged Adam lightly. A family pact? Everyone shares something they've held back, and we listen. Grandma chuckled amidst her tears, eyes bright with renewed hope. The warmth of their connection sparkled as the air filled with tentative laughter. Consider it done, she affirmed, wrapping her arms around them all. We need this more than you know. In that embrace, something shifted profoundly within Jake. Here they were, surrounded by reminders of what was once lost, yet choosing to face the tide of vulnerability together. It felt like the first rays of sunlight breaking through the clouds, ushering hope into the dark corners of their hearts. Hours passed like minutes, each person sharing their truth, allowing the warmth of understanding to wrap around them. Layers of hurt were shed, yet so were layers of love, like a feast serving an abundance no one knew they craved. By the time dinner ended, it wasn't just a meal they had shared. It was an awakening, a rejuvenation of connection. The laughter and stories flowed freely now, much like the joy radiating through the room. As Jake looked around, he noticed the weight of fear had lifted. The room felt alive again, laughter curling upward to remind them all of the bonds forged in love. "We did it," he whispered to Adam, stealing a glance. "We really did it. I think we finally opened the door," Adam replied, a genuine smile lighting up his face. "Are you ready for whatever we face next?" "Always," Jake stated, his voice steady and resolute. Together, and in that moment gathered with the family they had rebuilt, steeped in honesty and warmth, they knew they could tackle anything life threw their way. Now, if you felt the transformation in this journey, it's time to take action. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss out on more exclusive stories like this one. This is the moment to show your support. Hit that like button now to feed the algorithm. I want to hear from you. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about the ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who could use a little inspiration in their lives. Let us spread this message of healing and hope together. Your support means the world.